Y'all know it is mailbag day and free agency is getting ready to kick off around the NFL. And on today's mailbag episode, we got to talk about a guy that has been surrounding the Chicago Bears rumors, Trey Hendrickson. But the question ain't about Trey Hendrickson. It's actually about Harold Landry. Is Harold Landry a better edge option for the Chicago Bears than Trey Hendrickson? And then we got to get into the mailbag. Y'all know we going to talk about it and break it all down right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back into another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears. No C-Dub today, but you got Bobby to go ahead and break down and get y'all the mailbag episode. So if y'all tuned in today, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. And yes, you read the damn title the right way. Is Harold Landry, who was just recently released by the Tennessee Titans, a better edge option for the Chicago Bears than Trey Hendrickson? Let's break it all down. Let's see if we can come to a conclusion, or let's see if we can have a good discussion about these two players. Now, when you talk about Harold Landry, this is a guy that is 28 years old, about 6'2", 6'3", 250 pounds, a 7-year pro who, hey, if you go out there and watch that film, you see in that explosive first step off the line. You see some power. You see some playmaking. Now, there is some concerns about this player when it comes to the run game. But, hey, if you can build up the big guys up in the middle and you can get this guy on the edge, you might be able to help cover up some of the deficiencies or some of the worries that might come with a player like Harold Landry. Now, in the last 2 years, we going to keep it a buck. In 2022, my man's tore his ACL, but he did bounce back in 2023 with 10.5 sacks. That's very, very impressive to have a bounce back like that. And just to be fair, when it comes to Harold Landry and Trey Hendrickson, because Trey Hendrickson, hey, we're going to keep it a bang. The better player is Trey Hendrickson, but let's break it down to see if it makes sense for the sake of the Chicago Bears. The last 2 seasons for Harold Landry, 19 sacks, 29 tackles for loss, 36 quarterback hits, 141 total tackles, 1 Pro Bowl. And let's keep in mind, before the release, he made about $17 million per. Now, when you talk about Trey Hendrickson, we already know, bro. He's a monster. Let's keep it a big. Let's keep it a grand. He's a monster. 6'4", 270. So he is the bigger player. But 4 straight Pro Bowls for Trey Hendrickson, while Harold Landry only has 1 Pro Bowl throughout his career. But the last 2 seasons for Trey Hendrickson, 35 sacks, 35 tackles for loss, 89 total tackles, 61 QB hits, and made about 21 mil last season. I believe he has 1 year left on that deal. Now, if you're checking around the web to see what the market value is for a guy like Trey Hendrickson, Spot Rack got this man market value projected to be $29.7 million. And don't get it misconstrued. Trey Hendrickson is a hell of a player. But let's keep it a buck. Right now, the Cincinnati Bengals are looking to trade Trey Hendrickson. And it is being reported, and there's some rumors that are swirling around that it'll cost a 2nd-round pick and a 5th-round pick. When you look at a guy that's on the street right now in Harold Landry, you might just have to cough up some money on. For Trey Hendrickson, you got to cough up capital from your draft, most likely this year and potentially next year, depending on how you want to structure it. But a guy like Harold Landry, you just got to have a conversation with the brother. You just got to let him know what your vision is. So if y'all come to me and say, hey, Bobby, what is it? Does it really, really make sense? And who is the better option? I'm going to go out there and say the better option right now for the situation of the Chicago Bears, you explore the Harold Landry option. Both of these guys are terrific players. I am right here standing here telling you that Trey Hendrickson is the better player. I'm sitting here letting you know that. However, he is not a guy that I want to go ahead and not risk, but give up my draft capital for at least right now. And then I got to go and negotiate a contract for him for the foreseeable long term, for the foreseeable future. That price is just a little bit too steep for me because I I want the Chicago Bears to go ahead and move in such a way to where you're taking steps forward, but you cannot swing for the fences too damn early and put yourself in a bad situation. We know Ryan Post has done well with his salary cap. We know that the Chicago Bears have to go out there and plan for these draft picks that are going to enter the team this season, which is going to cost about 12 to 15 million dollars to go ahead and cover and pay all these draft picks that are potentially coming onto the team. And after moves going to get a Jonah Jackson, after moves going to get a Joe Tooney, you're gonna potentially have to pay Joe Tooney for a couple more years down the road, depending on how you feel about him. That guy is a damn future Hall of Famer. So if you're trying to go out there and say, hey, we got to pay Joe Tooney and then go out there and give up some draft capital and pay Trey Hendrickson, the price is too steep for me. And I would say that the Chicago Bears are moving simply too fast because, yes, we have a hole on a defensive line at the edge. But I will add that the Chicago Bears have a need at defensive tackle as well. They have a need at the safety position as well. My personal opinion, we have to find another tight end. Yes, we picked up Smite on a 1-year deal. He's a blocking tight end. I'm interested to see if the Chicago Bears want to continue to add to that tight end room. So you got to think about that. So I understand the need and the want for a Trey Hendrickson, and it'd be great to have him. I ain't going to lie to you. But it's just right now, if we thinking logically, if we looking at the situation, you got to go out there and you got to properly analyze and be like, no, maybe the price is just too steep right now. Me personally, I'm willing to play hardball with the Cincinnati Bengals. Y'all think you a cheap ass owner. You think I'm just finna go out there and give you draft picks and then get the player and then I got to give up money on? No, you give them the money on or let them go. Let him go. If you don't want him for the long term, you keep him for this year and you let him go. If you don't want him for the long term, let him go. And then we'll probably have a conversation with him. I just don't want to give up my draft capital because the way I would like the Chicago Bears, as the YouTube GM that I am, I told y'all this before. I wanna maintain my draft capital to pair young talent with veteran talent. And then we had this old thing mixing in to where we can build up a culture. And then as those older guys fade on, those younger guards, those younger players, they are being mentored, they're learning, they're progressing, they're being productive. And then they take the helm and we just keep this thing as a cycle to where we can build something sustainable. We don't know what the Chicago Bears season is going to look like as of right now. We do have a lot of hope, though. Ben Johnson and his coaching staff, they look pretty damn good on paper. Let's keep it, let's call it what it is. Let's keep it a buck. But you swing for the fences too soon, you might put yourself in a tough spot. I personally think that Harold Landry, right now, he's not a better player than Trey Hendrickson, but he is a better option at edge for the Chicago Bears than a Trey Hendrickson. I mapped it all out there for you. We talked about the Munyon. We talked about the draft capital. We talked about Landry. That first step in that explosion. Look, go out there and do yourself some due diligence and watch a little bit of tape on Harold Landry. You won't be upset. You already got your premier pass rusher in Montez Sweat. You go out there and get a Harold Landry who might still be around that 17 million. Hopefully you can talk him down a little bit. You might be in tune for a good pass rush for the Chicago Bears. But let me know how y'all feeling down below, man. I think it's a very, very interesting topic to discuss. I think it's very, very interesting, especially as free agency is getting closer to close of the kickoff this upcoming week. And we'll see what happens, man. But I let y'all know my thoughts. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts down below. We'll see what happens. But now it's time to get into the mailbag aspect of this episode. Let's kick this thing off from the 773.
Good morning, guys. I'd like to say, first of all, good that y'all doing a great job and during this off season. I heard Bobby said earlier, maybe about a week ago, that that we should focus on the trenches. And I know Ashton Genty, the name has popped up. If they get him, fine. But one thing about our running back team that we got right now, I'm speaking about what we have in play. That's the same running backs that ran behind a line, the same line that got our quarterback killed. So, I think in fairness that the Bears should more focus on those trenches, like Bobby said. I would go straight defense, man. Show up that defense and that offensive line, and that running back. It'll come later in the draft. But what do you think about that? I like to say first of all, shut town up, bad out.
All right. So we heard from the 773. Look, my plan still stays the same, man. Focus on the trenches. I look at the Philadelphia Eagles, man. They had all those vets on the defensive side. They paired them with some of these young players, and those young players, they performed. They were able to get some mentorship. They was able to learn from other professionals who's been around the league for years and years and years. And look what the Philadelphia Eagles defense was able to do at the end of the season and in the playoffs, on how after that tough game versus the Los Angeles Rams, they was able to whoop whoever was in their way from the Rams and on. They whooped them boys. And now those young players was able to thrive and do so well. You can let go of a Darius Slay. You can think about if you want to bring back a Josh Sweat, because now you have so many pieces around your defense from guys that performed well in such a short time. Now you can bank on a Quinyon Mitchell at the cornerback spot stepping in for a big play Slay, a Cooper DeJohn stepping in and being the other guy on the other end. You're talking about a Jalen Carter. You're talking about, if we don't know if they're gonna resign Milton Williams yet, but you can see they made a lot of moves, and they picked up a Zach Bond off the street from the New Orleans Saints, and then brought him onto the team, and then he got paid a decent deal, and now you can carry on the plans that you want to carry on without having to dish out so much money, and you can swing for the fences one more time to see if you can go back to back as the Philadelphia Eagles. That's very, very intriguing to me. So build out the damn trenches. And it's running backs all throughout this draft that you can go ahead and select. Ashton Genty is a talent. Let's call it what it is. I understand the discussion about the competition, but let's look at him. He is a hell of a talent. But at 10, take somebody in the trenches, because you can look good with all these wide receivers and all these skill positions. But guess what? All those wide receivers and skill positions that was down in Miami, what they get? All those skills positions down up there up in Cincinnati after their Super Bowl appearance, what have they gotten? And look at what they're trying to do. Build out the trenches so them big boys can go ahead and carry the Chicago Bears to hopefully a playoff win, 2 playoff wins, a NFC championship appearance, and hopefully a Super Bowl. Obviously, you still need to build out the skill positions, but you gotta make sure the trenches are good and sealed. So let's focus on the trenches. Shout out to the 773, man. Appreciate you, dog. Now let's get into this next one. This next one is from Sean from Atlanta.
Hey, man. Sean from Atlanta, regular in Chicago, but moved to Atlanta. Love you guys and listened to the show for a long time. Just wanted to get you guys thoughts in regards to Bears free agency. agent. He might be the top defensive tackle on the market. Just want to see your thoughts about him being a potential for a long time. We talked about, I think, as far as Bears fans have seen that defense needs a dominant three technique. And we can probably say the young guys have talent, right? But I think it's something to say in regards to having a veteran in front of them that can teach them the way. Kind of living off that way of, I think, what the Eagles did for Carter and for Jordan Davis, right? Having some veterans in front of them so they can learn before they can take that stage and fully reach their potential. So just want to get you guys thoughts on that potential move. Would you think the Bears would spend the money necessary to get an individual like Jonathan Allen into the fold? They do have the cap space, so just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that. And always, Shot Town up, Bear.
All right, shout out to Sean from Atlanta, my guy. I love my people from the South. In Atlanta, y'all got some spots down there. I done went down there and had some decent ass food down there. I ain't gonna lie, y'all got some grub that you can grub on down there. But when you talk about the free agencies, man, me and Hayes, we did Hayes did the live and I joined him later on, and he talked about Jonathan Allen. And I think that's a good option as well. My choice will be Harold Landry just because of the youth. And I think that explosive first step coming off the edge will be crazy. But I'm going to give y'all another name to look after that I think it's going to be a bit pricey. I ain't going to hold you. It's going to be pricey, but he will be a free agent. Milton Williams, defensive tackle from the Philadelphia Eagles. You talking about Jalen Carter? Milton Williams was a monster too, coming up there. And we already know the easiest way to disrupt the opposing team's quarterback is pressure up the middle. Look at Milton Williams' tape, y'all. Monster. We talking about a big fella, big bowling ball. Boom, 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 boom. Quick first step, nothing but power. Solid in the run game, solid in the pass game. As a pass rusher, hey, that's some stuff that you're gonna get. You got to go out there and explore when it comes to free agency. But we don't necessarily know what the Bears are gonna pivot and do. We're hoping that these guys are gonna listen to Dennis Allen at some point and say, "All right, give me this pass rusher. Bring him on to the city. It's cold as hell out here in the winter, but that's what we need so we can get these quarterbacks on the ground when they get a little jittery in this cold weather and that wind is blowing off from Lake Michigan. We need to see what's to that." But free agency gonna be cracking. So make sure y'all tuned in and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel because we are already prepared for what's about to happen. So make sure y'all locked in because it's gonna be a lot of breaking news this upcoming week. Not only on Chicago Bears Central, but NFL Central with me and Steve-O. It's gonna be a lot of football that y'all can tune in to, man. It's gonna be a lot of football that y'all can tune in. But shout out to you, Sean from Atlanta, and shout out to my boy Brandon from Atlanta. Shout out to y'all, man. But hey, we're gonna get into this next one, y'all. This next one is from Xavier. Here it is.
What's going on, fellas? This is Xavier calling in, man. I just seen that the Washington Commanders, formerly known as the Washington Football Team, man, they released Jonathan Allen. So, I feel like he'd be great addition to the defensive line. He'd be pretty solid, defendable defensive tackle. Now, the money he wants is going to be an issue because I don't know how much he's looking for, but he was just released, so possibly we can get him like on a decent deal. That'll be perfect. I mean, like he's already played with Montez Sweat, so they know each other's familiarity between those two. So I think that'll be a good addition, but it just depends on the right deal, the right money that we got to give him. I would also look at B.J. Hill from Cincinnati because I think he's a free agent. I feel like we go in the draft and get at least one more offensive lineman. I would like to get two. I can understand the position if they feel like that they've done enough and they go get Genty at 10. I wouldn't want that, but if they feel like the offensive lineman that we have is enough, then I'm a trust Ben Johnson and what he's trying to do. But I would personally go get the best offensive lineman available there, or defensive tackle, or edge right there at that spot. And then there's some pretty decent free agent wide receivers that we can look at for slot. Tyler Lockett just got released by the Seahawks. He's pretty dependable on the slot. that'll be a good addition as well. Since we losing Kenny Allen, and there seems to be no faith in Tyler Scott. Let me know how y'all feel about these additions that I'm thinking about, man. I'm just looking at primarily like the defensive tackle spot, like B.J. Hill or Jonathan Allen if we can afford them, and adding Tyler Lockett in free agency because we got a couple of little millions to play with, not a lot, but we got enough to if these guys want to take decent short term deals. But let me know how y'all feel about that, man. Chicago up, bear down.
Man, Chicago up and bear down. I love the what you brought here to us today, my guy. Hey, Tyler Lockett coming out of the slot. Hey, excuse me. I understand Tyler Lockett is up there in age, so you wouldn't have many years with this said player, but Tyler Lockett is still he's still a solid route runner that you can move in the slot and have him completely operate on that. Or if Ben Johnson want to use some creativity, you can move DJ Moore inside and put Tyler Lockett on the outside and he gonna burn somebody. So I think that'll be a great addition. And I don't think it'll necessarily cost you as much as a Keenan Allen will cost you, or some of these other guys will cost you. He is a pros pro. This is a guy that's the all-time leading receiver for the Seattle Seahawks, which is crazy to me. I was like, hold on, what? But yes, he's that guy. And you remember all the moon balls that was going up in the air from Russell Wilson? A lot of them was hitting guys like Tyler Lockett, Doug Baldwin too, but he ain't in the league no more. But Tyler Lockett was one of those guys that'll put the Jets on and burn you and leave you behind if you catch the ball. So I think that'll be a great addition. I have not looked into BJ Hill, so I'm going to do my due diligence and I'm going to get back to you on that, my guy. And Jonathan Allen, I think that the Chicago Bears will be able to talk that price down a little bit, me personally, simply because if you look at the last few years of production, it has not been that very productive. He did only play about 8 games last season. So I think that you could come out to the negotiating table to be like, all right, we want to offer you this, maybe a 1-year, 2-year deal at this amount of money, which may save you some money if you're looking at Trey Hendrickson, Harold Landry, like we talked about on today's episode, and then Jonathan Allen. I think when you compare those three, I think Jonathan Allen might be the cheapest option of the three. So I think it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, man, Tyler Lockett on this team, I think a veteran like that who had playoff experience and has been a part of winning culture, that's a player that you can have in your locker room to kind of help change the culture and carry this thing forward. And then I still would like them to try to pick up maybe a younger option, hopefully, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in this year's draft. But I would like for them to do it in this year's draft. So you can go ahead and pair that young player who's going to operate in the slot with some veterans to where, hey, if you do go get a Tyler Lockett, you still got this young piece right here to go ahead and learn from guys like Roma Dunze early on, DJ Moore, Tyler Lockett. And then when Tyler Lockett go ahead and depart, you got that young player to go out there and thrive and hopefully be able to provide some good football for the Chicago Bears. But again, free agency about to kick off. We don't know what's about to happen. We don't know who the Chicago Bears are talking to. So just make sure you stay in tune. Appreciate you, Xavier. Thanks for the call. This next one up, ladies and gentlemen, is from Fred. Here it is.
What's up, Hayes? What up, C-Dub, Bobby, Kevo, man, Steve-O, man? What's the deal, man? Shout out to you boys, man, the CBC gang, man. Hey, man, I'm not mad about the Bears, you know what I'm saying, making the trade to get, Tooney and Jackson, because that really would help us save a lot of money. We can spend money in certain areas. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying they're going the cheap route, but I'm not mad about the trade because you hear some fans on, oh, he's 32. I don't get why people think when a player get up in their 30s, they think they can't play no more. Like, when we start doing this, like, that's why they do the same thing with running backs. When running backs getting their 30, all of a sudden running backs on the decline. Like, that is the most stupidest shit I ever heard people say, especially some of us Bears fans. Now, I'm not mad about the Tooney trade or the Jackson trade off. And I said this, be the first. I'm telling you, when the draft comes next month, mark my words, fellas. I can be wrong. I think the Bears is going to take that boy Jesse because they're getting this line together, not only just for Caleb, because we know Ben Johnson likes to run that rock. He want a 1-2 punch combination. So if we get Jesse, 9 out of 10, I think we probably going to end up cutting Roshan, though, because Roshan is, a liability as
far as like, the concussion. That's the only thing. And yeah, I was pulling for Roshan, when we drafted him and everything to see what he was going to do. But we haven't seen that. So if we get this boy Jency and Jency mess around and take over the full-time starting running back, I guarantee Swift going to get traded probably the next offseason, and we're going to get us another running back. They got that. They can balance us out. And on top of that, like far as defense, like I wouldn't be mad if the Bears do trade and go after that boy Trey Hendrickson. Because Hendrickson, he played for Dennis Allen in New Orleans, and they both are familiar with each other, good with each other. So I won't be surprised if the Bears do end up pulling that gun on that trade far as with that, though. All these punk-ass national media now it's all of a sudden it's like they want to, like the Bears all of a sudden because we got Ben Johnson. We finally got a coaching staff. Like, no, y'all keep that same energy y'all had when y'all was shitting on the Bears over these years. Because when the Bears come out swinging, they come out swinging. Now, if we end up getting Jency with that first round pick, I won't be surprised if we end up getting us a starting caliber left tackle in the second round. Because you can always find a tackle, any good player in the second round as a starter. Just like I think we're going to get a guard as well, too. And any other needs, we need some picks. But let me know what y'all think, fellas. Chicago up, bet down or nothing.
All right. Shout out to my man's Fred, bro. Very good voicemail here. When it comes to the age thing in the NFL, some of it has some validity. I'll keep it a buck with you, but I'm with you though. Sometimes we do have to look at the player's history, see if they dealt with a lot of injuries, see how durable they have been and how productive they have been. So when you trade for a guy like Joe Tooney, you look at his track record and say, hey, he's over 30 years old, but he don't miss games. He's over 30 years old, but this mug is still hella productive and he could be very, very useful for the Chicago Bears. I throw even out, I remember Jason Peters being on this squad and he was old as dirt and still was decent. Like he was better than most linemen that we had on this team this past season, if we keeping it a buck. But then when it comes to like players like when the running backs that hit 30s, it ain't a lot of running backs that stick around after they hit the age of 30. I know Derrick Henry is one in the league right now, but when it comes to running backs, was it the names that I can remember that played past like 32, 33, maybe a Frank Gore was the last name I can remember. I don't know. Y'all help me out on that, but it's not a lot of players that stick around, at least from the running back spot. Maybe it could have been, you know what I'm saying, the distaste that running backs was receiving the last few years, but we'll see, bro. We'll see. And you said that if Jency come in, Swift gonna be traded the following offseason. Hey, stay tuned, big dog. Stay tuned, because I think that's a solid take, bro. Stay tuned. But hey, appreciate the call, Fred. All right, y'all, we're gonna get into this last one. This last one is from Keys.
Yo, what's up, boys? It's your boys Keys on this lovely Friday, man. Hope everybody's well, yours. Let's get into it. So the news just came out with a couple guys getting cut. And I'm looking at this defense and I'm looking at what we need. Instead of trying to give up draft picks for Trey Hendrickson, who I think could help, and he knows the system because he played under Dennis Allen, I would look at Harold Landry and Jonathan Allen, getting them for the right deal and the right price. I think Harold Landry is an exceptional pass rusher that doesn't get talked about enough. He played in Tennessee for all those years. He had the 1 year with the torn ACL, but that was in 2021. But when he came back, even to now, it's been almost 8, 9, 10 sacks, whatever the case may be. More sacks than what we had this past year by an individual who I think is a high talent. You look at Jonathan Allen, we got to get better in the trenches. That would be 3 solid pickups, I think, if we wanted to keep our cap down, which I know Poles is about. If we can't get Milton Williams and Josh Sweat, them 2 guys I would definitely want on my D-line because, one, Allen played with Montez, so he knows him. So I think he'll push for him. 2, Harold Landry is a dog, too. And both them guys are vets, and I think it's going to help our D-line out tremendously and be better than what we had up front. Put them with Billings and who I think Billings is a good player, but I think he's more of a backup if you ask me. And you got Javon Dexter with Jonathan Allen, and then you put Harold Landry on the opposite side of Montez Sweat. Oh my God, I think that actually could be a real good thing for our 4-3 front. And then as far as the free agency starting on Monday, like I said earlier, the the one thing that I'm prioritizing is uh, offensive line. It's still draft for depth. We got to draft for depth. Um, get that depth in the right pieces of your O line and a couple, maybe a D lineman or two, like JT Tumalao from Ohio State. Gray Zabel, I think, could be a good depth piece if he's still there. Um, Will Camp, if it's possible to get to him, and then also draft a running back. So we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think. As always, shot town up, bear down.
Appreciate you, Keys. Well thought out voicemail, man. And I agree with you, bro. Harold Landry. Hey, Chicago Bears fans, if you have not looked at Harold Landry get off when the football is snapped, you gonna be like, damn, is that a fast first step? Damn, that do this man got some power. Damn, do this man got an inside move. If you watch Harold Landry, hence why the whole episode to kick this thing off, I was talking about, is he a better option than Trey Hendrickson, at least right now for the Chicago Bears? And you said something that I believe is very, very important as we move closer and closer to free agency and the draft. Draft for depth. Draft for depth. And that's not to say that the guys can't come in and be starters, but it's part of the reason why I don't want to trade for Trey Hendrickson, because I want to use my second round pick or my third round pick that you'll have to give up for Trey Hendrickson and then eventually have to pay him. I'd rather have guys that are being able to come in as rookies, learn from the guys that are around the team already. Once those older guys and vets fades out, that young player can go ahead and thrive and be able to fill the void. So now we have a recycling door or a revolving door of, this guy was good, he's old, he's out, he costs too much now. Now this guy comes in, he's younger, we might have to pay him maybe a year or two down the road, but we know we can get some production out of this said player. I'm with you on that. If we looking at the blueprint from the Philadelphia Eagles this past season, you have to draft for depth, and hopefully some of these guys can be blue chip players. You gotta get some of these guys that can come in and learn to be professional. And if you have a couple projects that you get in the later rounds, you put them in a situation to where they can learn from some guys that's been a part of winning situations, that been Super Bowl champions, that know what it means to play meaningful playoff games. That's all I'm saying. But hey, that is it today for today's episode, y'all. I appreciate y'all so much for tuning in into the episode. Before y'all get up out of here, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you want to be a part of the mailbag episode, go ahead and call in, state your name, leave your take. The number to do so is 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears. I'm out of here now, y'all. Shot town up and bear down. See y'all on the next for sure.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.